In this video, we'll be talking about EBC content or A+ content for Amazon product listings. And our guest is Sacha Gorelik. She's a professional Amazon product listing copywriter. And Sacha will share with us about EBC content, how it is created, what are the modules there, also what works, what doesn't. And also Sacha will share her process, how she is creating EBC content for her clients. So enjoy this video. Don't forget to subscribe below to the YouTube channel of Klik, because here we always and often talk to Amazon experts, software creators. And this session is co-hosted together with Liz at Liz. She is also working with different Amazon sellers as well. Hello, Sacha. It's nice to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do in Amazon space?
Sure. Hi, Augustus. It's nice to be here again. Basically, I've been in the Amazon space for about 4 or 5 years now. I started off just doing the Amazon listings, and then obviously as things changed, I started doing the enhanced brand content as well, and email sequences for sellers, ManyChat sequences, and product packaging text. Basically any kind of copywriting that Amazon sellers need, that is what I provide. I do have a few other writers that work with me as well, but the final product is always completely edited and made perfect by me. So you're always getting, really, really high quality work. And we do very in-depth keyword research as well as part of the services, because obviously even the best copywriting is a bit useless without keywords on Amazon. So that's basically, in short, what I do. Yeah.
And can you please tell us what you will be sharing with us today in your presentation?
Sure. So today I'm going to be talking about EBC and basically just going through the process of creating EBC, going through the different modules that are available. And although I'm not a graphic designer, I have a lot of insight into what's kind of working and what's not working for sellers. I'm going to be talking a bit about split testing and also what keywords rank from the EBC and some bonus, stuff like that.
All right, so let's jump into the slides.
So the title is To EBC and Beyond. So let's get started.
Yes.
This is me. As I mentioned earlier, these are the services that I provide. We've got, website content, product description, sales pages, taglines. So anything you need, just ask, look me up on Facebook or on my website. Okay, so this is what we're going to be learning today. I'm going to give you an overview of the different EBC modules that you can use. We're going to talk about how much text you really need versus the graphics. Then we're going to go into whether or not EBC keywords are ranked, what are alt text keywords, and my way of planning and wireframing layouts. We're going to talk a bit about split testing and some basic graphic design advice. Now, there's going to be a lot of little dogs throughout the presentation. Although I'm not really a dog person, I don't have a dog. I have 4 children instead. I couldn't resist putting in these pictures of dogs because as a seller, you'll notice that on Amazon, they always have dogs on the EBC modules. So what we've got here are the first modules available when you go into Seller Central and you start, creating an EBC content. So we've got where you upload the logo. This is a comparison chart, which a lot of sellers use for comparing different products that maybe are variations of each other or even just different products they have available from the same brand. This one is 4 images. They're each 300 by 300 pixels that are next to each other. And then there's a standard 4-image text quadrant, which allows you to add quite a bit of text beneath those images. The next modules are the banner modules, which says standard image and dark text overlay, and there's also one with a light text overlay. Now, a big tip here is that these banners can be used to make really, really nice graphics, and you can add text to those banners. And if you don't fill in the text on the overlay, it won't show up because, in my opinion, when people add too much text into the overlays, they just look messy. So I would actually leave that blank and just create banners with nice copywriting and slogans that promote your brand on those banner images. The next are the standard image header with text. So most people use those big images for the first module on the EBC content, and they're 970 pixels by 600. Then we've got the standard multiple image module A, which is kind of cool. It's like a little bit interactive. So on Amazon, when someone's shopping, they can kind of click on each different picture and it will then show up in big, and it will have like a little text explanation on the side. And we're going to go into different examples of different companies that use these modules to their advantage. Okay, so the standard product description text goes beneath the large header images. And again, you can see all these different modules that are available to use. These single images with spec details, I would use those more specifically for techie kind of products, because you want to go into a lot of the specifications and features, and that's a really good place to do that. As you can see, there's a dog with a laptop. So yeah. And again, we've got a 300 by 300 pixel image, which is a standard single left image, or it's on the right, whichever side you decide to put it. And then there's the technical specs again. Okay, and I like using this because these standard 3 images and text actually look really, really great on mobile, and we're going to go into that soon. So how much text you need versus the graphics. So we're going to look at some different examples and see what different companies are doing. So this company is actually a nightlight, and it's for people who have to, like me, moms that have to like nurse their baby in the night, possibly, or it's for camping, or just different things they're showing here. What this company has done is actually they've only used 5 different banners, and they haven't put any text modules underneath. So in terms of ranking for keywords or crawlable text, this doesn't have any, and we're going to talk about that more a bit later. But what they do have are these beautiful photos and a very, very nice layout and clear kind of text that's easy to read, especially on mobile and on desktop. So I really like this one. The next one is actually a very similar product, and what they've done is a similar idea, but this time they've used the big banner images, which are double the size of the previous one. So as you can see, those ones are smaller, these ones are bigger, and they've literally just got big slogans on each image, and that's it. There's no other text underneath, even though these modules do allow you to add quite a large product description underneath. So this one says, say hello to better bedtimes. And then it goes into a little bit of features and gets your kids to sleep at bedtime, which I think is really great because at the end of the day, you don't need to always go on and on about all the features of a product. Sometimes it's just about selling the brand and the experience and the benefits and what it's going to do for the customer. So as a mom, I'll probably buy this product. Okay, we are moving on to another brand. This brand is called Sutra. You can look them up on Amazon or online or on Instagram. They have some really, really, really nice branding. And what's interesting to see is now these screenshots actually from my mobile, and you can see how they show up differently. So on the left, it's actually the standard 3 images with text that we saw earlier, the module where there's actually 3 boxes in a row next to each other. And on mobile, they actually appear beneath each other. And it actually shows up really big, and it's really, really easy to read. So I would actually recommend using maybe even 2 of these modules in your EBC, especially if you have a lot of features to write about, because when people are shopping on mobile, it's very easy to read and looks great. Whereas the main banner images, actually, this is the mobile view, and they show up really small, and it's hard to read the text that are on the main banner images. So that's always something to think about, is the combination of different modules, and if you think people are going to be shopping more on mobile or on desktop for your product. So this image is from Brita, and Brita is a water filter company, and this is the #1 bestseller in water filters. And they've actually used the multiple image module on desktop to show you the steps that you need to do to change your water filter. And that's why this module that they've chosen is actually really good, because someone can just click through the steps 1, 2, 3, 4. And I would recommend people to use this, especially if they have a product that has some complicated installation steps, or they want to show how easy something is to use. And then you can just kind of show the customer how it works in easy steps, and show a different image like of angles and stuff like that. So that's on desktop. Now on mobile, you'll see that Amazon actually squishes it down and the modules just appear one beneath each other, as we saw earlier with the standard 3-image module. So I'll just go back a second to here, and you can see this is the standard 3-image module. And again, it looks the same. So which is interesting because that means that this type of module with multiple images actually looks really good on both mobile and desktop. Okay. So the next question is, how long does it really take to get to the EBC content? Because what happens is when people are shopping on Amazon, they first, obviously, they get the search, the page of results when they're looking for a product. If they like the price or they see the reviews or whatever, they'll click on your product and they'll see the title. And then they're going to see all your images. And then depending whether it's on mobile or on desktop, it's a slightly different order. But usually what they'll see is then they'll see the bullet points and then they'll see similar products, frequently bought together products, and loads of different distractions until they finally get to your EBC content. So then the question kind of comes up is it really worth it to use EBC? Because, are customers even looking at it? Do they even get there, or do they get distracted before they even hit the enhanced brand content or A+ content? So I think the answer is it really depends, and it's definitely something that's worth testing on your products, because a lot of bestsellers, you do see that they have really, really good EBC content. And I do think that on desktop especially, customers are scrolling down to look at it. On mobile, perhaps less, because it's really, really far to scroll. So once they get there, you better have some really, really good images to capture their attention. So like this. This is just a random image I found of this massive dog with this woman, just to keep you guys on your toes right now. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the keywords. So we've been through the modules. We've talked a bit about how they look on mobile and on desktop, and then we spoke about how long it takes to get to the EBC. And now we're going to talk about keywords, because if keywords are ranking, then I think a lot of Amazon sellers are going to be like, yes, I'm going to add EBC to my listing. So the answer is, do they rank? Yes, no, maybe. Basically, the text beneath each module does mean that the text is crawlable for Google, and it might rank on Google. So if someone's searching on Google for a product, it's possible that you'll show up. And it is possibly ranked by the Amazon algorithm. But the chances are that you've already used most of your keywords in your title and your bullets and in the back end. So I wouldn't go crazy about stuffing keywords into the text that you put beneath the modules on the EBC. I would just write very naturally, write about the benefits, create some kind of emotional connection with your customers. But what is alt text? Because that's what Amazon is asking sellers to use when you add images. So alt text really is used by Google and other kind of search engines to provide a description of what the picture is for people who are visually impaired. But what is shown, although Amazon claims they don't use alt text for SEO rankings, is that sellers are claiming that it is helping them show up in the search engine results page for otherwise unused keywords in their listing. So there's actually 100 characters that can be used behind each photo on Amazon, which is quite a lot of space, and you can definitely put like lots of keywords there if you want. But again, my opinion is that you don't need to go crazy with keywords, because usually most products get sales from like a bunch, like maybe 10 to 15 keywords. And like I said, you've probably already used them in your title and your bullets, and in the back end and the subject matter. So definitely add them. It's not going to hurt, but I wouldn't like go crazy about making sure that every single image has 100 characters of keywords. But it is a good place to put those really, really long, awkward kind of keywords that make no sense anywhere else. And I don't think that there's problems with repetition either. So you could put something, let's say you're selling a survival kit and there's a keyword that came up on Helium 10 that says outdoor men's survival kit Christmas, which is a really awkward keyword. You can't really use that naturally in a sentence. So put that in the alt text of your EBC. As you can see, these dogs are saying super awkward. Again, another example, affirmation cards, women crystals. That kind of keyword, that long tail keyword, is just not going to make sense. It's not going to look good. Don't stuff it into your bullets. It's possible you can put these long keywords into your title, but if there's no space, then definitely put them into the alt text of your enhanced brand content. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is wireframing. Now, you may not have heard of wireframing before, you may have heard of it, but basically it's just a fancy way of saying sketching or planning. And the question is, people always ask me, like, you know, can you help me with the images? And the answer is I can't. I don't do graphics. I only do copy. So does design follow copy, or copy follow the design? And basically, I can work both ways, because I've worked with Amazon sellers that do not have any sort of plan for their enhanced brand content, and I've worked with sellers who already have the entire layout with the photos ready. So I can kind of go either way. In general, I mean, if it's a good graphics team, they'll likely do the wireframing beforehand and kind of write a story or a plan, like a storyboard of what's going to be in the enhanced brand content. So a wireframe might look something like this. These are just sketches that someone, like, I mean, this is just a vector image that I found online, but you can do this yourself. Take a piece of paper and a pencil, and you can start sketching the kind of things that you want to show to the customer that will be on your enhanced brand content. And I think this is really, really good, because if you don't plan what you want to show, and you don't look at other, what your competitors are doing either, then it's just going to look like a mess. So always have a good plan of how you want it to look, what kind of details you want to be sharing with your customers, and things like that. So you can either use an old-fashioned pen and paper, or you can actually do it on Microsoft Word or in Google Docs and just drag shapes and just create text boxes and write the kind of things that you want to have on the EBC content. And that could actually be a really good guide for graphic designers or freelancers that you hire. Okay, so the next thing I would also suggest is make a plan. Are you trying to promote your brand, or are you trying to just sell this specific product? Because if you're trying to promote your brand, the way you look at your enhanced brand content is more like a billboard, where you'll just have a lot of your brand colors, your logo, slogans, and different things maybe about your company. Whereas if you're selling a specific product with a lot of features, so obviously you need to make the layout differently. So that's just a quick tip, is kind of think about in advance what's the goal of your enhanced brand content. Okay, now let's talk about split testing. So Amazon's split testing program is still in beta, I believe, and not everyone has it available. So you can either use Amazon split testing or use something called PickFu. And people love PickFu because you can ask a huge audience of people which line of copy they prefer, what images they prefer, what colors they prefer, what packaging they prefer. It's just amazing the amount of stuff you can ask people that's not your family, because your family doesn't always tell you honest answers. And you could ask yourself what you think, but you're just one person, so it's always better to ask a big group of people to get the best answers. So here's just an example of something you could ask. So if someone is selling this fuzzy doggy hat, so you could write your dog's favorite way to get through winter, or you can say snuggle with your dog and your dog will snuggle with you. And one of them might sell more than the other one, so it's always worth testing. And what we'll see here is, actually, this is a split testing image of one of my clients that was before he added the enhanced brand content, and this is afterwards. So this is with my copy and with really good graphics, and you can see he literally, tripled his sales. So that was really, really amazing result of adding the enhanced brand content to his listing. So you could say that this split testing was kind of like a before and after image. Whereas this client was actually, they already had enhanced brand content, and it was pretty good. Like, the pictures were nice. They were kind of like a repetition of what they actually had in their listing, the listing images. And then they asked me if I could just improve the copy. So I literally just changed the header. I changed a few of the paragraphs. They made 0 changes to the images. And the result was that after 6 days, they made $978 more than they would normally. So you can see that Amazon told them it's a 93% probability that Sacha's version was better than what they had already. And what they had already wasn't bad at all. Like, it was actually fine. The English was fine. It just didn't really create that kind of emotional connection. It didn't promote the brand that well. It was, I would say the copy was just a bit bland. So I kind of made it that much better. And you can see that the results speak for themselves. So I would always recommend split testing if you can, or just hire me, I guess, to do it in the first place. So that's just a side point about split testing there. Okay, I hope I haven't put you to sleep. This dog looks like he's fallen asleep, but we still have a few more slides to go. Okay, so here's some basic graphic design advice. Try and create a visual brand guide before you start. Now, I know a lot of Amazon sellers, you kind of lean and scrappy and you like to do things without spending too much money, which I can understand as an entrepreneur myself. I do understand that you want to be lean. So what you can do is actually go on Pinterest or just look at competitor listings or other brands that are big on, on the internet that have their own websites and stuff like that. And you can say, this is the kind of brand I want to be like. And this is the kind of feeling I want to give. So do you want to have like calm pastel colors, or do you want to be one of these, kind of macho brands that are very motivational? It really depends on what you're selling. Obviously, if you're selling yoga products, you probably want to be more calm with calm pastel colors. And if you are selling gym equipment, let's say, so you want to obviously give a stronger kind of visual images and stronger colors and stuff like that. So always make a plan, because otherwise you're going to be having a lot of back and forth with any graphic designers that you use. Don't use crappy stock images, please. They look terrible. People can see straight through them. There are like memes all over Facebook for, making fun of sellers that use really bad stock images. So if you're using a graphic designer and they can't take photos on location, they better be good at what they do and make it look normal with your product in the image. So yeah, that's just, a big no-no. Don't be crappy with your images. So do use big, bold text on images. I really, really like this. A lot of people don't forget that they can add text to the images. For some reason, they just kind of do a repeat of photos that they've used in their listing, which is really boring. So try and create some really strong headings, really strong slogans, taglines that you want to put on your images, because that's just so much easier for the customer to read. Like, yes, add the text below the modules as well, but don't forget to use big, bold text on the images. And lastly, this should be, obvious, but it's not obvious to everyone. So colors and textures should always be cohesive. So again, if you have a brand guide before you start, that's obviously amazing. But, whatever colors you're using in your packaging or on your labels, you should try and use those colors again in your photos. Try and use the same kind of patterns or textures, whatever you're using with your brand, in the EBC content as well. That way it's much more memorable, it's much more trustworthy for customers to use. Now, I don't have studies on this, but in the marketing world and in the business world, everybody knows that the better branding you have, the more trust you create with your customers, and that leads to more sales. So that's why I really, really do think you should put quite a lot of effort into this branding part. And it's a big clue. Like, why would Amazon call it enhanced brand content if it didn't enhance your brand? So use that space properly and take advantage of the modules that you can use and be creative with graphics. And I'm not even a graphic designer, people. I like to be creative, and I can give you some opinions and advice, but I'm not a graphic designer. Let's just put that out there again. So here are my bonus copywriting tips for EBC. So start with a story. Draw the customer in, like paint a picture. Don't just show a picture of the product, show a lifestyle image, show something that is gonna make customers curious about the rest of your product. Then afterwards, I would recommend going into the product features, but always write in easy to understand, concise language. Don't make things too convoluted or too complicated, or use text from the manufacturer that they sent you. I have seen that before. And don't use stuff that's been translated by Google. Just use really clear language. Finally, my final tips: sprinkle in some emotion. Make your customer feel something. Make them believe in your brand. If you believe in your product, then you can definitely make your customer believe in it too. If you don't believe in your product, then don't sell it. Okay. So use EBC also to promote your brand values. Are you eco-friendly? Maybe your company only uses vegan ingredients. Are you calming? Are you motivational? Another brand that I worked for actually had Braille on their packaging, and I thought that was an amazing value, and they promoted that in their content and in their images. So definitely use that space to promote your brand values, and don't only focus on the features of your product. So I hope you've enjoyed listening. I know it was kind of a technical presentation. It wasn't the most exciting stuff in the world, but I went through the basics of everything that you need to know when creating your EBC content. And if anyone needs help with their brand messaging, brand story, product descriptions, website content, things like that, you know where to find me. That's my website and my email address. And I'm sure Augustus will have the link as well if anyone wants to contact me. I will put it out there that I am kind of busy and booked up with clients. So please excuse me if you get a message saying that there's a wait list. So that's just in advance. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you very much, Sacha. As always, great content from you. And you talked about split testing. Can you explain? So first thing I wanted to mention, there is a tool called Splitly. I don't think it's very popular, but it's, I think, 3 years old. Is it working?
I haven't had any of my clients use it. I think it's owned by Jungle Scout, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they bought it.
Yeah. So I haven't heard of it. I don't think it's so popular. I think PickFu has a lot more, like options in terms of split testing, because it's not just splitting between A and B testing. It's literally A, B, C, D, E, F. You can like split test a bunch of different things at the same time. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. Splitly is testing live on your Amazon product listing.
Right,
so
exactly. So I think Splitly might be good for making tests between different titles and stuff like that, because it will switch between them and show you which one is getting more sales or more traffic. Yeah.
And when you do split testing, like without PickFu is, by the way, those who don't know, like visual testing. You can upload different videos or different pictures or screenshots, and people evaluate within a few hours what looks better. But when you do testing directly on your Amazon account, how long do you wait for the results to analyze?
So, I mean, you could wait between 1 and 2 weeks, I would say, is a good amount of time to test, to see the results of your experiment. Anything less than that probably won't give you very accurate data, because obviously traffic will fluctuate depending on just different things. So giving it at least, 5 or 6 days minimum, and I would say 2 weeks maximum to see any, major changes in your sales. Yeah. And another thing I was going to say is that a lot of times people will contact me and ask me, can you improve my listing? Like, can you help me with this? Like, I wrote this like 2 years ago. Can you do something with it? And a lot of times I'll tell them, like, look, it's not bad what you wrote. It's fine. I don't think that it really depends on the product, and it depends how bad it is in the first place. But if a product is selling well, if your BSR is steady and you've been selling well for the past few months, so I'll tell you honestly, look, I don't think there's much I can do to improve this listing. In another case, someone came to me and they had a product that was just very generic, and they had about, I don't know, a few hundred or more products on Amazon that were selling pretty much the same thing. And she asked me, can I improve her listing? And I told her, like, there's nothing I can do, because even if I write the most amazing listing for you, if you only have one product on Amazon that's generic and it's the same as everybody else, and there's nothing unique about it, so I'm not going to just take your money and improve your listing when I don't think that will help you with sales on Amazon, because there's a lot to do with the algorithm as well and ranking, and not all of it is just the listing. It's also all the other promotional stuff that you do, which is sending traffic to your listing, which is the PPC. Maybe it's like super URLs that you're using. Maybe it's giveaways that you're doing. Maybe it's promoting to your own email list. So there's just so much that goes into an Amazon listing, which I understand as a copywriter. So that's why I'm very honest with people whether or not I can help them improve their listing or not. So it's just a side point.
And today you brought out a couple of really good things to keep in mind when putting together the ABC content. But do you have like certain things you definitely suggest sellers to avoid when crafting their ABC?
Yeah, certain things to avoid. Like I said, really bad stock images. Just don't use those. And also, don't just repeat the images that you have in your product listing. I understand that people want to save on photography or graphics, but just repeating the images that people have already seen is not really going to convince the customer to buy your product, especially if they have to scroll through all the other distractions, like I said, on Amazon, which is the other suggested products frequently bought together, just all different things that can distract your customer. So do try and have like a really good main image with some really bold headlines that will bring your customer to be like, okay, make that snap decision. I like this brand. I want to buy from them.
Okay. And for a seller who would like to put together EBC by themselves, could you name like the overall steps they would have to go through in order to start to putting together until like uploading it to Amazon?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I've had sellers use Canva before, which is actually, it's kind of cool. You can create some different custom size modules. If anyone hasn't used Canva before, it's very intuitive to use. But you have to kind of be somewhat good at like graphics and putting together colors. But the basic steps of putting together the EBC is, number one, you have 5 modules that you can use. And so decide which modules you want to be using for your product listing. Do you want just a big banner images? You can just use 5 of those. Or do you want to use smaller images? So the first thing you want to do is make a plan, do a wireframe, like the sketch I showed in the presentation. Then you want to decide what you want to show in each of those modules. So the first image, maybe you want to show just someone using the product in real life with your company slogan. Then in the other smaller modules, maybe you want to show close-ups of the product, like it's really high quality, I don't know, straps, or it has like, AA batteries that are included with the product, whatever it is, I don't know. And so go into those details, and then you're going to add the text modules that go with each image. If you decide to use text modules, you could just do without it and just use big graphic images, just depends. And then if you want to, you can add the alt keyword, and you can add keywords into the alt text section. And then upload and wait for Amazon to kind of approve it. So now it happens much quicker. A few years ago, it used to take them like a week to approve your EBC content. So that's great for sellers. And even sellers who don't have brand registry can actually get access to enhanced brand content. I'm not 100% sure how it works because I'm not a seller, but I do know that some of my clients who are not exactly brand registered yet have had access to the enhanced brand content. Yeah.
Yeah, talking about images, I'm just thinking some sellers might have these beautiful 7 images they're using on the product listing. Have you seen people making a mistake using the same images in the enhanced brand content instead of like utilizing that space for new images?
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen people using it, and I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I would just say it's kind of boring. So what I would say is you can use the same images, the same basic images that have and then just add slightly different graphics, maybe put them together differently, make some sort of collage. Another tip that actually I forgot to mention is UGC, which is generated content from your audience. So I've seen some companies doing this with their EBC content, where they'll actually put pictures that have been sent in from the customers. So there was one company that I worked for that was selling a baby product. So they actually had like a whole bunch of babies that I think they took from their Instagram account even, and they put that on their enhanced brand content. And that really just creates that really strong trust for the customer, that they're like, oh, there's real people that have bought this product, real, moms that, use this product for their kids. So if you have those kind of images, I would say add those as well. And that could save on photography, because if your customers allow you to use their stuff that they've sent you, so user-generated content, look it up. It's really, really useful for your brand.
Okay. And for me, it was really interesting to listen about the fact that the descriptions of the modules could be coming up from the Google results. So have you tested that yourself, and what have been the results you have seen?
So I haven't actually tested it myself, so I can't really say either way. But as I said earlier, I don't think it will hurt. I think if you do the modules, if you do the text and you make it nice, then it definitely can't hurt your listing. Just another side point is that when you're using the banner, there's 3 modules that come next to each other, or 4 modules that come next to each other. So make the text the same characters in each one, because if one of them is much longer than the other, it just looks really messy on Amazon. So always try and make sure that any modules that are kind of in line with each other should have the same amount of text. That way it just looks much more, streamlined.
Thank you very much, Sacha. It was a pleasure to have you here. And one more time, how do you help Amazon sellers, and what's the best way to reach out to you?
For the last time, reach out to me. Okay, so you can definitely send me a message on Facebook or through my website, which is sachagorelikcopywriting.com, or you can just look me up on Facebook, Sacha Gorelik, and send me a message. I generally, I have worked in the past with smaller sellers who are just starting out and also larger companies. As of now, I am hiring new writers to help me take on the workload, because I've just had a lot of people contacting me to help them. So I can help you with slogans, brand messaging guides, product text for your packaging, obviously Amazon listings, and obviously the enhanced brand content text, storefront text, anything that a seller would need online, copywriting. So you can ask me.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, and good luck in your business. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I hope this video was useful for you, and if you are looking for more information about how to create a EBC content, watch this video with Chris Rawlings, where he's sharing the formula to create EBC content, which worked for many Amazon sellers, and this video is quite popular. Enjoy.